The biggest emotions I felt, at least internally and externally, were in that build-up to make it into the boat. So how it works for Canada, at least, is that you qualify a boat, but it's just the shell. So we qualified a woman's 8, but none of the spots in the boat were set. So in March, they kind of sat us all down and they said, okay, you're a top 40 woman in Canada. You're going to try out for one of these 8 spots. I'm only eligible for 4 because I only row on one side. I only have one oar. And the amount of doubt and kind of regret and, oh my God, can I do this? Is this in my wheelhouse? Is this even possible? Is this worth it? When you're out there and it's -20, -25 and you're solid cold. You gotta take a second and go, you know what? This is so much bigger than just me. Obviously, Canada's gonna choose a boat that does the best at the Olympics. But even leading up to the Olympics, like we had girls, the returners that have been there for 2, 3, 4 quadrennials, they know what they're doing. And coming in as a younger athlete, only at 23, it was Kristen Kitt, our coxswain, 4-time games athlete. She knew what she was doing. And she had her backs through and through, and she was a huge advocate. And just all the girls in the boat. It was really, I'm an only child, but I suddenly became one of 9. So it was nice. No, not at all.
As you. Yeah.
No, please. I mean,
okay.
We're doing a Learn to Row program at Dawn's. You'll love it.
Okay.
But no, I don't think anyone's ever too late to start anything. And I'm a huge believer of, you read those stories in the newspaper and it's like 55-year-old mom goes back to college to get a new degree. And that sort of stuff just inspires me to the highest degree. But I think that you would love rowing. And even if you didn't love rowing, I think it would be nice to go against like the challenge of it, because rowing truly is unlike any sport I've ever done. And the camaraderie and the teamwork that you need to make an 8 go fast is, you got to be all on the same wavelength. 1 brain, 9 straws, as our coach would say. So when it's safe to do so, I am definitely competitive to the highest extent. Like, you're not going to see me on the 401 hitting 300 kilometers an hour. That is not a safe environment. That being said, if you sit me down in the gym and you put Hulk Hogan next to me and you tell me to outlift him, I'm going to do my best to outlift someone I have no business outlifting. And I think that you should nurture being competitive. I think especially, like when I was growing up, my dad would sit on his electric bike and we would race to Oakville and back from Mississauga. And I'd be pedaling as hard as I could, like my bumblebee knees, as my dad called them. And trying to beat him was my goal for like 3 years. And of course, you can't beat a motor, right? But I true-heartedly and wholeheartedly believe that competitiveness and that competitive nature should definitely be nurtured, especially in younger people trying to still find their way in life. First is that the impossible is possible. So my specialty is nuclear non-proliferation, and for those of you who don't know, it's how to prevent the widespread of nuclear weapons internationally, specifically in the long run, so in 2, 3, 4, 500 years. I think that just someone's got to be the first, and it's going to be me. If no one else comes before me, someone's going to try to stop it, because that's what I believe is correct. And I think, on the other hand, for global affairs, it's that always go into it with your 100%, because you don't know which day will count. And I think that, especially dealing with really tumultuous matters, I definitely mispronounced that, sorry, Dad, it's important to just kind of believe that every day is the day that counts. I'm used to being a pretty good rower in Mississauga, and then a pretty good rower maybe in Canada, but you really feel pretty mediocre surrounded by Simone Biles and Michael Phelps of the swimming world, or Penny Alexia or Summer McIntosh. And that was kind of like a step back for me, where it's like, you know what, I deserve to be here just as much as anyone else. So what, I'm not getting 4, 5, 6 medals around, or a quadrennial. But I'd say that specifically the Canadians, because we kind of hung out as a cohort, they were just phenomenal. Like the other athletes, like they want you to succeed. They want to hear all the ins and outs of your sports, and I know just about as much as track and field as they do about rowing. So that to say, I know they have to wear running shoes and run fast, but they know I'm on the water and I have 1 or 2 sticks. So just being able to really chat with them and hear their stories, especially from a first-hand basis, is an experience unlike any other I've ever had. I love what I do. And even though it sucks sometimes, and being cold and being wet, and then of course you love anything when you're winning, but especially when you're losing, to still kind of have that fire and be like, you know what, I'm not winning today, but that doesn't mean I can't win tomorrow or the day after that. And just keeping that flame alive, I think, is the most important thing for me personally. So I play violin and piano. And one of my favorite songs is Bach's Third Concertino, and it was one of my first adult pieces that I learned on the violin. And of course, music helps balance out my athletics, because I think it's good to be an all-rounded person. And sometimes I don't want to work out when I'm stressed, so I play music. But when I'm working out, because it seems like that's my life currently, I'm playing piano in my head. I'm doing the fingering on the fretboard, but I use a water bottle or something, just to try to help calm me down. And I think that there's a dichotomy in me between the brutality of sport and the softness almost, or the calmness of music. And I think that's kind of, it makes me whole, and one without the other, it wouldn't work. I'll say it the second time. You don't need to be the biggest or the fastest or the strongest to be great. You just have to be someone who never gives up.